In fact, there were a few rainy seasons that were so rainy that people would either die on the street or sink into the mud like it's the La Brea tar pits.
Oh my God.
And then they wouldn't discover them until days or weeks or I don't know how long later. They may still be down there.
That was Peter Hartlaub, the San Francisco Chronicle's pop culture critic. He was talking about the time he got to look at the San Francisco Medical Examiner's logs that listed every death in San Francisco going back to the 1800s. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco. On today's episode, Peter's going to describe the last time he visited a scene with the Medical Examiner's Office investigators. It turned out to be quite a defining moment in Peter's career. Here's Peter.
So the other pager was in my neighborhood, walkable, and I got on the phone, and that was the only time during the whole thing where they flat out like warned me, like, do you want to do this? And I didn't ask for details, but I was like, yeah, I need to see what you need to see. So I walked over to this house, and I can't describe the feeling or compare it to anything except experiences from childhood.
Okay.
Getting a really bad report card and knowing like my parents, it was unexplainable, and I had done all the things wrong that I told them I wasn't going to do before, and I'm just taking the longest route home because I don't want to face it.
Mm-hmm.
Being afraid to ride a roller coaster and having all my friends make fun of me, and I don't want to get on it. It was that kind of like childhood feeling I hadn't had, but I'm having it as an adult walking up to this place.
Right.
And it's probably one bedroom apartment in the Haight, like every other one, basement apartment in a Victorian, like the one where on the Janis Joplin and Grateful Dead tour.
Sure.
I get in, they answer the door, and I could smell death before I got in. Before I knocked on the door, there was something going on.
Worst
there.
Thing you've ever smelled?
Yeah. Going in, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this.
Sure. But you showed up.
I showed up. I walk into the living room, and they're point over, and there's a suicide note there. And they point it to me and let me go to that room. And they're working in the bathroom. And the note, I sat and read it, and it's pretty straightforward, short. Had some, goodbyes and nothing emotional. It was some goodbyes and some information about where personal effects were and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought me into the bathroom, and there was a man who had killed himself weeks earlier.
Oh, wow.
Days, if not a week or two earlier. It was considerably earlier, and slit his wrists in the bathtub. And I immediately thought like he had been in this bathtub for a long, long amount of time, because from a distance it looked like he had fabric that it reminded me of like burlap fabric that you'd see in like a bad recreation of a medieval movie or a Renaissance fair. And it was like torn, and I'm like, has he been in this tub so long that his clothes are decomposing? And then I walked up closer and realized horrifically that it was not fabric, that this fabric was moving, and it was maggots.
Oh my God.
Crawling up on his shoulder and consuming his shoulder. Features bloated and in the tub. And I walk in, and Graham and Bill are in their Reservoir Dogs suits, putting on gloves, nothing under their nose. I'm retching, you can imagine. And they're getting ready to pull this guy out and having a discussion about, whether parts of the body might come apart when they do it.
Sure.
And I watched them put their hands, I remember, like, it's frozen in my memory. Graham grabbing his wrists and Bill grabbing his feet. And I got about 5 seconds of that, and I could not do it anymore. I mean, it's like I had gotten there, and I turned away, and I went outside, and I sat on a stoop and waited for them to be done. And
did you throw up?
I did
not
not
to trivialize anything, but you said you were on that.
I did not. I
trajectory.
don't remember the specifics, except that Upper Haight has many wonderful restaurant choices, and I enjoyed dining there. I am guessing it was between meals to the point where that didn't become an issue.
Good.
And I was sitting there, and then they came out. They didn't, make fun of me, or they were actually they never did. There wasn't a lot of gallows humor. I was expecting that too, because in a with cops and in a newsroom, there's gallows humor. Yeah. These guys and I realized watching this, what they do is almost like beyond gallows humor. I mean, they talk matter-of-factly about what they're doing and make observations, but to do what they do, you need to be, a priest-like. You need to have that kind of religious order commitment. And I'm sure there are people, if I had gone out with some other people, maybe they handle it differently. If there are any medical examiners listening, maybe they're like, this guy's full of crap. We joke about the bodies all the time. There was no joking about the bodies. But we do want
to hear from you.
Yeah, we do want to hear from you.
If you disagree with Peter's assessment.
There was no joking about the bodies. So that was my worst thing I've ever seen. That was my journalism turning point. That was my I wrote the story. It was a multi-part series. It did well.
Good.
It allowed me after that to pitch a few more projects.
Nothing could have saved the Hearst Examiner.
No, nothing was going to save the Hearst Examiner at that point.
You did your best.
I did go out. I think my next project after this, I was like, I can't. They were telling me, do a ride along with some other horrific thing. I could tell that my editors wanted to typecast me into the macabre, micro, dirty jobs of journalists, and just go out and send me, go out with a grave digger, go out with a. I did not. My next big story was chasing Bigfoot hunters, and I remember specifically, picking that story because I was like, I could not handle that, and I would not continue as a journalist if that became my niche. I've got a lighter beat, and I dig around in the archives here and do history stuff. I'm comfortable with that. I wasn't cut out to be a cops reporter. I mean, and I look at people, the good ones like Henry K. Lee and Jackson Vanderbecken, and people in our area, people at our newsroom right now, Vivian Ho. These are people she's fantastic. Yeah. And those are people who can go to that place and come back intact.
Right.
And they're important stories to tell.
Well, that's it for Peter Hartlaub's look at the San Francisco Medical Examiner's Office. If you missed parts 1 and 2, or if you just want to check out some of the other Storied San Francisco episodes, go to storiedsf.com/episodes. If you want to read the story that Peter ended up writing for the paper about the San Francisco Medical Examiner's Office, check the website. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at StoriedSF, and we're also on Facebook at Storied San Francisco. You can email me at storiedsf@gmail.com. Music is by Joe Bigale, a.k.a. Otis McDonald. Photographs are by Michelle Kilfeather, who has a show still up over at Boozeland called Walking to Boozeland. I want to thank Peter for sharing all his great stories. Thank you for listening. If you like what you're hearing so far on Storied San Francisco, please share it with your friends. Check back next week to hear what it was like to look for an apartment on what turned out to be a very fateful day.